What if the decision that felt so simple the first time you thought about it was never actually complicated at all? What if the confusion, the doubt, and the endless back and forth only showed up because you thought about it again? Picture this. You get a job offer. Your very first reaction is instant. A quiet, clear feeling inside you that says yes, take it. But instead of acting on it, you decide to think about it a little more. You think about it a second time, and suddenly a doubt appears from nowhere. What if the commute becomes exhausting? You think about it a third time, and now you're imagining conflicts with a manager you haven't even met yet. By the fourth or fifth time, you're paralyzed, staring at a decision that felt completely obvious less than an hour ago. Nothing about the job changed. Nothing new happened. The only thing that changed was how many times you thought about it. Psychologists have discovered something deeply counterintuitive about how the human brain handles decisions. And once you understand the difference between useful reflection and repetitive overthinking, you'll understand why thinking more doesn't always mean thinking better. Here's where this story begins. And it starts with a simple but uncomfortable truth about how your brain actually processes decisions. Your first reaction to a decision can be influenced by everything you've already learned and experienced. Your brain is constantly recognizing patterns, connecting past experiences, and processing information before you're even consciously aware of it. But that doesn't mean your first instinct is always correct. It means something important is already happening before you begin consciously analyzing the decision. But here's what most people never realize. Your brain doesn't stop there. It keeps running. And every additional time you revisit that same decision, your brain isn't gathering new evidence. It's generating new questions. Psychologists call this a specific kind of trap, and it explains almost perfectly what happens in that job offer scenario. Psychologist Barry Schwartz studied how people respond to having more and more choices. His research helped reveal an important problem with excessive analysis. When people keep searching for the perfect option, they can become less satisfied, more uncertain, and more likely to question the choice they eventually make. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Your brain has a limited supply of decision-making resources. Just like a muscle that fatigues after repeated use, your ability to think clearly about a choice weakens the more you use it on that same choice. This means your fifth round of thinking about a decision isn't sharper or wiser than your first. It's actually operating on a more tired, more depleted version of your decision-making system. So when that fifth thought produces confusion, doubt, or a completely different answer than your first instinct did, it's not because you finally found the truth. It's because your brain, exhausted from repetition, started reaching for anything, any hypothetical, any small risk, any imagined scenario, just to justify continuing to think. The problem was never the decision. The problem was that you kept feeding your brain an assignment it had already completed. But there's another piece to this puzzle that explains why the doubts feel so real once they show up. Researchers studying rumination discovered that repeatedly returning to the same unresolved thought tends to generate negative hypothetical outcomes rather than helpful clarity. Your brain, when asked the same question over and over without any new information, doesn't produce more wisdom. It produces more worry, and it presents that worry with complete conviction, as if it were new evidence, even though it's really just anxiety wearing the disguise of careful thinking. This is why the third or fourth time you think about a decision often feels more urgent, more important, and somehow more true than the first. Your brain has convinced you that repetition equals depth, but repetition without new information is not depth. It's just noise, dressed up to look like insight. And here's something that makes this pattern even harder to escape. Psychologists have identified something called the Zeigarnik effect, which explains why an undecided choice keeps forcing its way back into your thoughts. Your brain treats an unresolved decision like an open task, an unfinished loop demanding closure. So it keeps interrupting you with the same decision again and again. The decision isn't haunting you because it's genuinely complicated. It's haunting you because your brain hasn't been given permission to close the loop. So what actually breaks this cycle? The goal isn't to trust your first thought blindly. It's to know when you've already thought enough. Good decision making involves reflection, but reflection is useful when it brings new information, new questions, or a clearer understanding of the situation. When you're simply asking yourself the same question again without anything new to consider, you're no longer improving the decision. You're just increasing the number of ways you can doubt it. This doesn't mean every important decision should be made carelessly or without reflection. It means there's a difference between genuine reflection, which brings clarity, and repetitive rumination, which only brings noise. Genuine reflection usually asks new questions and considers new information. Repetitive rumination just replays the same question again and again, hoping a different feeling will eventually show up. The next time you find yourself circling back to a decision you've already thought through carefully, pause and ask yourself one simple question. Do I actually have new information right now? Or am I just thinking about this again because the loop hasn't closed yet? If there's no new information, asking the same question again may not give you a better answer. The doubt you're feeling isn't necessarily wisdom. Sometimes it's simply your mind creating new possibilities around a decision that was never as complicated as it started to feel. That one distinction between real reflection and repetitive rumination might be the difference between a life spent trusting yourself and a life spent quietly arguing with your own mind. If this video explained a pattern you've experienced with your own decisions, subscribe for more psychology videos that reveal the hidden patterns behind human behavior. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what's one decision you overthought until it became harder than it needed to be? I'd love to read your thoughts.